Welcome to Tech Now. I'm your host, John Reid, also CEO of CATA Alliance, and we're addressing a very important theme to Canadians, how we can better adapt cloud computing. We call it the May to Must Cloud Computing Campaign. And we're joined by Anil Karmel, CEO of C2 Labs and co-chair of NIST Cloud Security Working Group. And Neil, you've brought forward, I think, some good perspectives on the new reality for the federal IT workforce, how it is adopting cloud computing. But you also raise some issues regarding how to balance security and risk in a cloud-connected enterprise. Can you share some of your thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you very much for having me, John, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk a bit about the challenges that the U.S. government has faced and how those challenges have been overcome in a variety of ways. Finding that right balance between security and risk in a cloud-connected enterprise. So, really understanding the security posture around the information that you're entrusted to protect is absolutely vital when you're moving to a new service delivery model. So, really understanding the value of your data is that first fundamental step. When you understand the value of the information that you are entrusted to protect as a federal entity, you then can make risk-rated decisions as to where to host that information, whether on-premise or in commercial cloud service providers, and what protections and controls that you should place around that information. So there are a variety of different vehicles that are available to us in our personal lives today. You make decisions every day the moment you pick up your smartphone and you access a social network, you access your email, you make these risk-rated decisions around your own personal information as to where to house it, whether to house it on your premise, on your phone, or house it on premise within your machines or your laptop or desktop, or to house that information in a third party, such as Dropbox or a cloud-based email system or whatnot. So you're making these personal decisions today. As you move into the corporate lives, understanding the value of the information and where you want to host it are the same. It's the same type of challenges, but scaled. So when you start understanding the risk profile around the data, you can then understand what I was saying.
So why do you suppose there's so much resistance? I know in Canada, you're talking about the new reality. We seem to have difficulty having that new reality adopted, that new paradigm adopted. What are the resistance points that you've seen in organizations?
Absolutely. So, from a resistance standpoint, there's several different themes. You've got one specific theme that resounds around this new service delivery paradigm, and the model to support that paradigm not having full control of the entire ecosystem or infrastructure. Well, the reality is the model of technology service delivery has changed so rapidly that internal IT practitioners can no longer deploy technology fast enough to keep up with the pace of innovation today in industry. So these new service delivery models leveraging cloud are now fundamental and key to delivering value to our constituents, right? So understanding that paradigm shift and understanding IT's role in that paradigm shift are one of the barriers that we face internally within organizations. There's a cultural aspect to that, right? Where we have to change the culture in which we deliver IT services, moving from a sole source IT provider to perhaps more of a broker of IT services to our constituents, whether they're internal constituents within the federal government or the citizens themselves. Right? At the end of the day, someone's going to make a decision as to what service to use.
Well, I think that's good guidance. Can we move now? I know you've been working with Singapore, and part of our work with May to Must Cloud Computing is looking at what other countries are doing. Why is Singapore leading, or why is Singapore a role model? What did you see there that you liked?
Absolutely. So, I came back from Singapore roughly about a month ago, and to see the innovation and adoption of cloud not as a barrier, but as an enabler to deliver new services to their citizenry was incredibly refreshing. Where Singapore has positioned themselves as a data hub for the entire Asia-Pacific region because of the investment they have made in cloud computing, which is now going to translate to a greater impact to their economy as a whole by making this change for their citizenry, right? By allowing the citizenry access to services far quicker, by making the government more agile in delivering new technology and services to their constituents, both internally and externally, they have actually increased and improved their economy. There's a direct economic benefit by moving to cloud computing. Not just reducing costs, but actually increasing their competitive advantage. And I think that's something that the government should certainly consider, in that cloud actually can increase the government's competitive advantage.
Now, in Singapore, did that happen because of political leadership? Like, what motivated that type of mission for the country?
So the motivation is, I mean, when you think about Singapore as a whole, and their role, let's say 30 years ago, as a shipping hub for the Asia-Pacific region, really changing that role, knowing that shipping is still a big part of commerce, but that the new wave of commerce is now IT-centric and information-centric. Singapore saw, as a country, as a government, that the next wave of shipping is not strictly on ships, but over wires. And that moving from and evolving their economy from being a strict carrier or data shipping hub to a data hub was the next logical step. And cloud was the enabler to get them there. So they made a wholehearted investment to continue to grow their economy and make them more competitive in their region. So cloud can be that enabler to enable countries to be more competitive in this incredibly fast-paced economy that we have, this fast-paced global economy we have today.
That's a very strong statement, and one that I hope will echo in Canada. So Anil Karmel, CEO of C2 Labs and co-chair of the NIST Cloud Security Working Group, thank you for joining us this morning on Tech Now. Thank you for your guidance, and thank you for your leadership in really helping to modernize how we deliver services to citizens.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me, and look forward to continuing our conversation.